Okay, I'm kind of sad to say this is our last question, and this one's for you, Stephen. Food insecurity has become an increasing concern locally. Food banks have seen increasing usage, schools need breakfast programs, and families have to make difficult choices. How will your party ensure that all Canadians enjoy a healthy and affordable diet?
Without a doubt, food insecurity has increased. There's close to 3-4 million Canadians that are food insecure. So our plan, first of all, is to acknowledge that we have a significant problem with food insecurity, and it's often tied to poverty and marginalized communities. And one of the first things that we would do is recognize that food is a fundamental human right, and that everyone in this country has a right to nutritious meals. Some of the other measures we'd adopt, really first and foremost, because it's an issue related to poverty and income inequality, we do everything possible to raise people above the poverty line, whether that's a basic income guarantee or a minimum wage, or even child tax credits, although we would go straight for increasing wages, increasing income security for people so they can actually afford good, nutritious food.
Just have a minute, and I want to set the record straight on a couple things as we talk about agriculture, and that's really important here in Kings-Hants. And Martha made the connection that we sold our dairy farmers down, but I think we need to remember that it was the Conservative government that opened up market access under CETA and TPP as a starting point. I've been an advocate for the dairy industry myself for a number of years. I've worked on a farm, and I would ask you to look into that. Also work on Indigenous people. If you speak to the three chiefs here in Kings-Hants, they will tell you they've seen a stark contrast between the Liberal government and the Conservative government moving forward. To your point on food insecurity, we introduced the Canada Food Policy, which is the first of its kind in this country. We've invested $135 million to support, to ensure that all Canadians have access to healthy foods, to support the work for northern and Indigenous communities, and also to promote Canadian food not only here as a top choice, but also abroad, and finally to reduce waste, which is part of the environmental commitment. As your member of Parliament, I'll continue to work on that front.
So it's important to note that 15 to 17% of Nova Scotians live in poverty, that the food bank use is on the increase, and that 30% of those users are children. So this is a very important issue. The Green Party believes that there should be a guaranteed livable income, so an income below which no one should fall, so that they have enough for housing and eating and all their school supplies and whatever else they need. The other thing that we would implement is a universal school lunch program, so for all children across the entire country, so there would be no stigma attached to need, and it could be a nutritious program, locally run, so locally determined what foods are culturally appropriate and healthy, and provided to that.
Matthew, food insecurity has become an increasing concern locally. Food banks have seen increasing usage, schools need breakfast programs, and families have to make difficult choices. How will your party ensure that all Canadians enjoy a healthy and affordable diet?
First of all, I think by addressing the cost of living with our tax reforms, I think that will do a great deal for those people, especially those that don't make that much money. Like I said, where the first $15,000 goes without taxes. We would also create a free, open, and fair system that will save Canadians billions of dollars annually, thanks to the lower prices after phasing out supply management. We would allow Canada's dairy, egg, and poultry farmers to thrive and sell their products internationally. And we're pretty excited to actually be the only party to represent that different option. And I think as you look into that, you will find that there really is no need, because it's not helping the farmers. There's only 10,000 farmers that this actually protects. So you have to think about all the farmers who aren't able to get quotas because they don't have that much money, and then they can't get investments in their own farms because farmers can use these cows and all this stuff to basically hedge their money against. So we're excited to be able to make sure that this.
Well, since we're setting the record straight, I haven't met a dairy farmer yet that's been happy with the new NAFTA deal. And it was actually the Liberal government that cut the tax benefit for children in sports and arts programs. And it's also your party that created an environment in which businesses cannot create employment, so young people are finding it more difficult to get ahead. As far as food security, this is a complex issue that is as individual as each of us. I believe we need to look at the social determinants that contribute to this. Do we have a society or a community with good paying jobs? Do we have an environment which supports education so that these jobs can be filled? Is the person being paid a fair wage? Is the cost of housing too high? Is the cost of everyday essentials too high? We in Kings-Hants just can't afford more taxes like the carbon tax. I met a woman named Jennifer the other day on the doorstep. She works minimum wage job and she can't afford to eat. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes the question portion of the forum. And now we'll move to closing remarks. And Cody,